Hello, it's Sydney Rose and I'm back in my storage / art room in my house. So if you've been following me for a little bit, you know that a couple of weeks ago I made a video about testing the differences between the Meeden watercolor palette and my Koi watercolor palette. Today, I'm going to be testing different acrylic marker brands. I'll be testing the difference between Shuttle Art acrylic markers and Royal Langnickle markers, acrylic markers. I'll go into my spiel about each of these, obviously, but these you can get from Walmart. Obviously, I've already opened the pack. I've had these for a long time, and they're pretty great, and they're a little bit cheaper. And then the Shuttle Art is a TikTok sponsor that I got, and I've already made a video about them as well, but I haven't got to make a full art piece yet. So I'm excited to try that out and see the differences between these two markers and see which one you like for different purposes. So let's get to it in the next slide. So to start off, here's my shameless TikTok plug. Over the last year, I've been trying out different brands and learning how to use paint markers, and I can say that now paint markers are probably one of my favorite and most used materials to work with, and I've made many TikTok videos with these markers to show my progress with certain art pieces and documenting my paint marker journey. One of the brands I've been using a lot through this journey are Royal Langnickle acrylic markers. You can find these at Walmart for around $7 for a pack of 6 with just basic colors. These were the second brand I tried during my paint marker journey, and I can say I do enjoy them very much, but notice how I said second, because I've tried a lot of paint markers, so that means there will definitely be more putting different brands against each other with paint markers in the future, so let me know if there's any specific brands you'd like me to try against each other. For the Shuttle Art acrylic markers, you can find them on Amazon or TikTok Shop for around $40 for a 36 pack. Shuttle Art recently sponsored me on TikTok to make a video for their markers. I haven't gotten to try a full art piece with these yet, but I have been able to swatch the markers, as you can see, on the black and white swatch sheets that they provided for me with the markers that they sent. If you haven't watched my testing out the Koi versus Meeden watercolor palettes video, you definitely should watch that one after this video if you're interested in this type of content. But just like in that video, I will be testing out both brands of acrylic markers by drawing the same piece and comparing the two. For this one, I've decided to do a melty smiley face layered paint pen piece. This way you'll be able to see how opaque the markers are and how well the colors cover each other. For paint markers, I like to use a thicker paper, so I went with Bristol paper. I started off by taping the edges with painter's tape so I can have a clean border when I'm done. With this specific design, I like to start with this squiggly design, I guess you could call it, with one color alternating on different sides of paper. And I'll fill in the gaps with the same squiggly design on the opposite side of the paper with a different color. I've been doing this specific design for a while and I really enjoy the results. I actually have notebooks with different colors with this design for sale at pop-ups with my small business. I do plan on having a website up by the end of September, so if you really like this design, you can subscribe to keep up with when I have pop-up events, and stay tuned for when my website announcement comes sometime in the future. When I'm done with the squiggly design, I add a new color in between them. The Royal markers actually have a double-sided tip, so you can take it out and switch it between the bullet tip for a more precise line and the wedge tip to cover more area with. This makes drawing details and coloring in large gaps very convenient with these markers. With paint markers, it's hard to color like you would with a normal marker, so in order to not rip the paper, you color by drawing lines right next to each other. With Royal markers, I normally do this twice in order to make the color as opaque and as even as possible. It's also important to make sure you shake your markers when you feel like they're starting to run out, so the paint inside can mix where it's settled and flow better while you're drawing. Sometimes this causes overflow, and that's another reason I like having the tape as a border, so I can press down on the marker so the excess paint doesn't bleed onto my paper. I have had these markers for a while, so I don't normally have issues with the paint bleeding onto the paper, but this is an issue when I have new packs and there's more paint inside the capsules. When I'm finished with the second layer on my background, I start drawing the circles for my smiley faces. I like them to look like they're all melting / merging into each other, and I don't really worry about the circles being perfect, and I almost draw them like they're puzzle pieces that go together but don't stick together. Also, as a side note, there's construction going on outside while I'm trying to do this voiceover. I'm gonna do my best to reduce the background noise, but I am editing on iMovie and I'm self-taught video editor, so bear with me. Just like on the background, I do 2 layers with the royal markers on the outlines for my smiley face. This way I can make sure that they're opaque and completely covering the background. Normally I do this design with monochromatic colors, but since I'm sticking to only using one brand of markers per piece due to the experiment, I had to improvise. I usually mix and match brands so that I can use multiple different shades of one color, but I actually really like how the pink pops out on the cool tone background for this piece. After I'm done with the second layer of my face outlines, I go in to start the face details, which I also do 2 layers on. I love that the royal markers have the dual tip because it makes drawing these details so much more clean and they don't appear streaky. It almost looks like this could be a digital piece by the end of it because the markers are so smooth and opaque. I like for my faces to be in a lot of different directions to add onto the feel of the smiley faces melting into each other. I don't have a rhyme or reason to which way I draw them, I just see what feels best for the particular face shape. This is another reason I love to do this design with paint pen because it's very simple but it always turns out so great. And I would love to see you guys try the design, so if you do, please tag me so I can see all of your amazing artwork. After I'm finished with my smiley faces, I go back in with a new color to draw an outline over the squiggly designs in the background. This time I chose white because it's a neutral color and it'll pair well with the other colors I've chosen for this piece. With the white outline going over the smiley face, it blends them into the background a bit more, creating a subtle layering effect that I absolutely adore. Layering paint pens is so fun and so easy to do. And just like all the other colors I added into this piece, I will go over the white twice just to ensure that it's very opaque and layers well over the other elements in this design. I've drawn this piece in backgrounds of other work and I've had it just as a piece by itself. It's very versatile and I'm glad I came up with this design. To see some of my other finished works that's similar or that features this design, definitely go check out my Instagram at Hey It's Sydney Rose, where I post all my still photographs, and the link is also in the description if you're interested. That would be really cool. Here's my finished piece with the royal acrylic markers. I haven't taken off the tape yet, but I'll do that at the end. Now it's on to trying the shuttle art, so let's go. To start with the shuttle art, I had to remove the tape, which I forgot to do while filming the finished piece with the royal markers, which, whoops, but it's fine. I used the same type of bristol paper for these new markers and taped off the edges so there would be a clean edge for this piece as well. The main difference I immediately noticed with the shuttle markers is that they're a free flow paint marker, which means you have to shake them but you don't have to activate them, so you can color the same as you would with a normal marker. The shuttle markers have a brush tip versus the royal markers with the bullet and the wedge tips. I find that both can be beneficial for different styles depending on the vibe of the piece. That's why I like to mix and match my paint markers so I have a wide variety with my paint pen work. The shuttle markers were a bit more streaky than the royal markers with the first layer, so I decided to do 2 layers with these markers as well, and that really helped them look a lot smoother after the second layer for my designs. My shuttle art marker set has 36 colors, so I matched the best that I could with the royal markers so that the pieces were as similar as they could be. The shuttle markers dried much quicker than the royal markers, which is definitely a plus because there wasn't as much smearing between layers when I accidentally would lay my arm on a spot that hasn't dried yet, so I do find this to be a challenge with the royal markers and other brands of acrylic paint markers. You can actually see how fast these markers dry by their changing color in the time lapse and how it's almost instant compared to the royal markers. I do believe this has to do with the amount of paint that's being released from the marker because these are free-flowing markers, so they don't have to be activated as I explained before, so they don't have as much ink coming out at one time. So therefore they're not as opaque as the royal markers, therefore they dry faster. After I finished the background, it was then again time to go in with my pink marker to draw the faces for my smiley faces. As you can see, the pink shuttle marker was very translucent compared to the royal marker. I thought maybe 2 layers would help out with this just like it did in the background, but I ended up having to do closer to 4 to 5 layers. I lost count. The pink is a much lighter color than the background, so it didn't hold up to covering over the blue very opaque with the first few layers due to the markers having a bit less of an ink flow. Still, With the faces, I didn't have any smearing, and the details is when I normally start to have smearing because I lay my hand down a bit more in the smaller areas on the paper to get in those details. After I was finished with the smiley faces, I ran into the same layering issue with the white marker. Since the white marker is much lighter than all of the other colors, it took a lot more layering to cover the pink and the blue. I had a lot more problems with the white looking streaky because of this. Since the shuttle markers have a brush tip, the details were not as small, so my white outline is also a lot thicker on this piece than the royal markers piece. But this isn't a bad thing though, because it really depends on your personal preference and what you like better artistically. That's why I never really have a clear winner with these videos, because it's really up to you what you like and your preference on which one you think is better. By the end, I think I did around 5 to 6 layers on the white, and it still wasn't completely opaque, but I couldn't really build on it much more than I already had. So with the shuttle markers, I recommend if you want something like an element on your design to be completely white, that you start with the white and draw around it. Overall though, I'm very happy with how both pieces turned out. They're very similar and different in many ways, but I think it's fun to experiment, and I'm excited to see what other brands and materials I should test against each other in the future. I'm interested in doing a colored pencil video, but I only own Prismacolor, so what's another brand of colored pencils that you'd like for me to test out against each other? I'm also working on another paint pen video, and I do have plans to test 2 different watercolor travel kits in another video in the near future. So if you're interested in seeing those, please subscribe so you don't miss any of that content along with my vlogs and other artsy things. Alrighty, and here we have the finished piece with the shuttle art markers. So, definitely the same vibe, but different kind of stylized, because you can see this one's a lot more artistry and brush-like, while this one's more, I don't know how to explain it, I guess clean, because you can see less of the streaks and the brush marks. I like both of them in different ways, so what do you think? You guys decide. So to explain this on voiceover, I feel that the royal markers look much more neat and clean, while the shuttle markers have more of a flow and look more organic. I like the effects of both of these that they have on the particular design, and they're both neat in different ways. And here are both pieces photographed so you can get a better picture. Which one's your favorite? Let me know in the comments. I want to know your opinions and what kind of styles you guys like, so please let me know. Definitely got the colors as close as I could together. There are going to be a little bit of discrepancies, obviously, because different brands, but I guess that's the end of the video. It's like AM in the morning again, because that's usually where I end up filming these, so I'm really tired. So if you can hear it in my voice, I'm so sorry. But thank you guys for watching the video, and if you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe, do all the things that all the YouTubers tell you to do, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye. And now it's the end card, so I'm off script and just rambling, but thank you guys again for watching the YouTube video. Do all the things that all the YouTubers tell you to do, so like and subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you guys next Thursday, just like I said in the last clip. Bye! Have a beautiful day.